Good morning, everybody. I think this morning I'm gonna glaze this bonsai pot. So it's a bonsai pot with dragons on both sides. I think I'm gonna go with a this sea green color on the pot, and then I'm gonna wipe off the glaze from the dragon, and I may paint it a different color, but I really haven't decided what color yet, so we'll see how that goes. We're going to use this brush here. I thinned this glaze out just a little bit because I wanted it to spread good. So anyway, you can see it's got the holes cut in the pot for the wiring and what have you of the bonsai. So we're going to try to get a good 3 coats on here, and we're going to try to get it in all the nooks and crannies. This glaze is not black, so bear that in mind. It looks black, but it's not, and it's still pretty thick. I was hoping that that would thin it down enough that it wouldn't be so thick here, but we can get it everywhere. That's all that matters. So now we're not going to glaze the inside of this one because ordinarily I don't glaze the inside of my pots that I'm going to put plants in. That it doesn't matter. The glaze doesn't hurt the plants, but I don't like to put it inside. It just wastes glaze. I mean, you don't need it in there, and you put dirt in there, so nobody's going to see it one way or the other. So that's why you don't do it, not for any other reason. People think, well, you don't do it because of the plants or because of the absorption of the clay or whatever. But at this point, the clay's not going to absorb anything because it's been fired, and it's going to get fired again. So there's not really anything for it to absorb. And so that's not the case. But anyway, neither here nor there, but just thought I'd share that with you. This looks really, really dark, and it is dark, but it's got green. It's an elements glaze, and so elements glaze break when they're against texture. They change color, and so this glaze won't be just this color, which is fine. And I want to get it on the whole dragon too, and then when I wipe it back, the dragon will have a little texture, and maybe I can go over the dragon with red or even a green, a really light green is kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know, but right now that's what I'm thinking, so that could change. So anyway, I just don't want any white. That's the thing. When I finish, I don't want there to be any white left on the dragon or the pot, of course. So I want to be sure I cover get it in all of the nooks and crannies there. Even if I don't get 3 coats in all of the nooks and crannies, I will. That way I'll get the full. This won't take too long to glaze because I'm glazing it all one color, and I'm not painting a bunch of stuff. You know, when you're having to actually paint, and it takes a lot longer, and so. It's my hope that when we finish, this will come out. I've been putting off glazing this. I don't know why. Sometimes I make something because I think it's going to be really cool, and it comes out all right. It comes out cool and all of the things, but then it sits on the shelf for a long time before I get around to glazing it, which I think is kind of funny. That's my personality. I'll move on to something else. I'm a little ADHD, and so I'll move on to something else. So. And then it takes a long time to get back to it. So I put this out a day or two ago with the glaze I was going to use. I picked out the glaze, which for me is kind of the hardest part of the process. I picked out the glaze that I was going to use, and I put it all on the shelf and said, okay, I'm going to glaze this. But you know, the same thing applies. I have an owl sitting here, a little tiny wise old owl kind of thing sitting here that I've already wiped back, and it's ready to go. It's ready to glaze. And I've glazed a bunch of pieces, but I haven't glazed that yet. So it's like I look at it and think, no, I don't know. Anyway. Probably post this to TikTok and then maybe post it to YouTube. It'll be too long for Instagram. Maybe post it to Facebook. I don't know. Wipe off the feet once we're done. We'll wipe off the feet. I'm not gonna glaze the feet. I mean, not the bottoms of them, but they'll get some glaze on them, and I'll wipe those off because they'll stick to the kiln if I don't keep those real good and clean. You want to wipe your bottoms. It's something your mama probably taught you. You want to wipe your bottoms and make sure they don't have any glaze on them. It's funny how you move pottery around and then you see the spots you missed. So to be sure that my holes, once I glaze it, the holes in the bottom are cleared out before I fire it. I don't want that glaze setting up in those wire holes because then I'll have to have a drill to get it cleaned out. So it's easier to do it while it's wet, but I also like to have the glaze in the holes so it kind of, you see the color. So anyway. Got some glaze on myself there, but I guess that's all right. It's not the first time. I'm going to try now as I put on the second coat here. I'm going to try not to I'm going to try not to just put it right on top of the dragon because, like I said, I'm going to have to wipe a bunch of that glaze off. And it's going to be hard enough to wipe one coat off. It'll be a lot harder to wipe a bunch of coats off. So we will try not to. We won't just deliberately paint it over the dragon itself. These are water dragons, and I make them with a little. They make a thing called a spig. I think that is a mold. Anyway, it's an open pore mold, and that's where I made these from. I made some other dragons too the other day, which came out pretty good. But I didn't use them. Usually I put them on something, so they're just flat, so they're not good for much just by themselves. And anyway, so then I went ahead and glazed them just to see what they look like, and they're pretty cool, but they're really not much use for them. You can make ornaments out of them. You could use them for Christmas tree ornaments, I guess, but I can't imagine a Christmas tree themed, a dragon themed Christmas tree. I'm sure there are people that could imagine that. That's not my vibe. I love dragons, don't get me wrong, but not Christmas tree, not up to the Christmas tree kind of thing. I'll drop that again. Kind of hard to hold on to and keep your hands clean, so. it's a nice temperature. It's cold here today, or cool here today, and it's a nice temperature in the studio, which is nice. People think a glaze is paint. It's not. It's chemicals that react to the heat, and so it's less likely to stain anything. It's really easy to wash off because of its makeup, and so that makes it really convenient. It gets on your clothes or whatever, it washes off really easy. So I think we're gonna set this down and look at the top here. Glaze this top rim. I probably will glaze it down the rim a little inside so that if you don't fill it all the way with dirt, it'll still look good. That's the part I always get wrong. It never isn't straight when I glaze the inside. I never get it quite straight. I guess I could use a straight edge or something, but it seems like a lot of trouble for a pot. Truth is, once you put dirt in it, you can't see the line I put on there, so does it matter? I mean, it only matters if you're looking at it before you put dirt in it, and that shouldn't make any difference. So anyway, I'll probably get another, I've got another brush that would probably be better for this one right here. I've got tons of brushes. I only use about 7 or 8 of them, I think, but I have tons of them. One of the best things I ever bought was this little turntable. I have 2 of them. They're called something, but I don't know what they're called. Still the best thing I ever bought. I mean, they're not cheap. They're not expensive. They're just not like you'd run out and buy 10 of them. But man, I love when you're glazing. It's just the best. Or when you're making stuff and you need to move it. You know, if you're sculpting something and you need to turn it a lot. This little wheel is the bomb. Diggity. Inside. It's hard for me to tell where the glaze is in my little pot here. Okay, I think we've got that on. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to go over, well, I may need to let this dry yet a while. Yeah, it needs to dry a little more, and then we will, a little needle tool here, I'm gonna make sure these that's not too bad. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see. I've got a little wash bucket there. It's not very big. It's just a little wash bucket. It's got some sponges in it, mostly dirty dirt, which I don't care about too much. But I'll get one of my sponges out here, get it good and dry, and then I'm going to wipe this dragon, and it'll take a little while, but eventually the color will come off of the dragon. Now, because we put lots of color on it and the color's had a little while to dry, it'll take a little bit to get it off. So you can see the dragon has kind of come out. That's what I wanted. We'll do this other one. So there you go. I got the dragon kind of pulled out of the, so you can see it again. Another little fin under here. And while I'm here, I'm going to wipe off the feet. Okay, there's my feet all cleaned off, and you can see the dragon. We'll go back over here. Sorry about the turn here. Back over here to my glazing table. Now the question is, what color do we paint the dragon? Do we go with a super light color like this, which may or may not show up very good, or do we go with a darker like a red? I think I'm going to go with this. I think this is the way I want to go. We'll get a smaller brush here. Well, that one probably will work, but yeah, I think this one right here. Now the other glaze will show through, which is what I want. It'll make for dark lines, and so that's what we want. This glaze is much thinner than the other glaze, so it kind of gets the cracks really good. think we're just about done here. It doesn't look very good. I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to look when it finishes firing, because this glaze will melt, and then you'll see the method to my madness. I hope either you'll see the method to my madness, or I'll see that I made a mess. One or the other will happen here, because your kiln doesn't always do exactly what you expect it to do. Yeah, I think we're going to call that done. Flip that over. I will probably finish this up by dipping it in some clear glaze, or at least brushing some clear glaze on it. I just hate to get the clear glaze into the bottom of the pot, so I may tape up those holes and then dip it in clear glaze. But anyway, that should be it. Thanks everybody for joining me.